The frequency of gratitude. Introduction. There is a sacred frequency, one that opens every door, alters every outcome, and bends reality toward the one who knows how to tune themselves to it. It is not force, it is not willpower, it is not a desperate prayer. It is gratitude, not the kind you've been taught to express after things go right, but the kind you embody when nothing yet appears to have changed. The kind you feel before the world gives you a reason to feel it. The kind Neville Goddard called the evidence of the unseen, the final act of faith that proves the assumption has already been fulfilled. This audiobook is not here to remind you to be positive. It is here to reveal a metaphysical law, one that governs creation itself. Gratitude, when understood correctly, is not a virtue, it is not a reaction, it is a vibrational command. When you feel grateful for something that hasn't yet appeared, you're not pretending. You are aligning. You are stepping into the state of the wish fulfilled, and as Neville taught, you must live from the end. Gratitude is how you do that, emotionally, energetically, and consciously. You see, the universe doesn't respond to begging. It responds to being, to the feeling of already having, to the frequency of completion, and gratitude is the signal. It is the emotional proof that the thing you desire is not coming. It has already arrived in consciousness. And as consciousness is the only reality, what you accept as true within will harden into fact without. This is not poetry. This is a metaphysical law. Imagination is God, according to Neville Goddard, one of the 20th century's most profound spiritual teachers. That everything in your external world is a reflection of the inner state you assume to be true. Gratitude is the feeling that anchors that assumption. It is the echo of the end result, vibrating now before the senses can catch up. You may have thought of gratitude as something polite, something spiritual, something kind. But here, you will learn that it is something far more powerful. It is creative. It is the inner signal that says, "It is done." And once you say that, not with words but with feeling, the unseen begins to move, doors open, people show up, ideas land, circumstances reconfigure themselves to match the vibration of the one who is already living in the end. This audiobook is a transmission, not of theory but of application. Each chapter will take you deeper into the mechanics of this invisible power. You will learn how to use gratitude to enter the state of fulfilled desire, how to dissolve doubt by assuming the feeling of already having, how to let thanksgiving become your prayer, your offering, your signal to the divine. And most of all, you will remember this truth. You were never waiting for your life to change. Your life was waiting for you to change. Your frequency, your focus, your state of being. When you understand gratitude the way Neville did, you will no longer ask, "When will it come?" You will know, it is here. And because it is here, I give thanks. So, take a breath. Close your eyes. Feel the pulse of desire within you, and thank it as already fulfilled. This is the secret. Welcome to the frequency of gratitude. Welcome to the infinite. Chapter 1. The Grateful State of Consciousness. What if I told you that the world is not responding to your actions, but to your state of consciousness? Your effort is not what moves mountains, that your striving is not what shifts reality. That is the only thing the universe ever mirrors back, is the state you dwell in, not occasionally, but consistently, silently, unconsciously, repeatedly. And what if I told you, is the state of gratitude the most creative of them all? This is the first truth you must let in, not as theory but as spiritual law. Your world is yourself pushed out. Neville Goddard said that, and he meant it, literally. The people you meet, the doors open, the luck you stumble into, the delays, the blessings, the patterns, none of it is random. None of it is punishment. It is all responding to the invisible signal of your internal state. And gratitude, real, living, breath-infused gratitude, is the vibration of having received, Not hoping, not wishing, not praying and waiting, but having already received. When you enter that state, reality doesn't argue with you. It doesn't ask for evidence. It doesn't need proof. It simply rearranges itself because you've declared who you are, and the universe always responds to identity. You see, most people think gratitude comes after the blessing, but in truth, it is the very force that calls the blessing in. You are not rewarded for being thankful. You are aligned by being thankful. You shift timelines. You enter new frequencies. You broadcast a signal to the divine. I believe. I feel. I know. I am already there. That is the grateful state. Not a feeling you force, not a ritual you repeat, but a dwelling place of the soul. Now let me make something clear. You can affirm 1,000 times. You can visualize with intensity. You can repeat, I am rich, until your voice goes hoarse. But if your state of being is lack, if your inner emotional atmosphere is doubt, impatience, or frustration, then no words will matter. Because consciousness creates, not language. Words are shadows, states are causes, and gratitude is the state that collapses the illusion of waiting. It is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. It says, it is already mine. But how do you access that state when nothing around you seems to reflect it? How do you feel wealthy when your bank account is empty? How do you feel loved when no one's calling? How do you feel whole when the ache of longing is louder than silence? This is where most people give up. They say, I'll be grateful when it changes. But that's not how the law works. The law doesn't answer the reaction. It answers the assumption. Neville said it plainly. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and continue therein. Not for one moment, not just when you feel good, but persistently, faithfully, as if nothing else exists. Because the moment you assume gratitude, sincerely, deeply, you've taken the throne. You've stopped being the beggar. You've stopped asking, you've stopped chasing, and you've started creating. You're no longer standing outside the castle doors. You've walked in, sat down, lit the fire, and in that moment, the world begins to move. Subtly, at first. A whisper, a coincidence, a flicker of ease. And then, a shift. A break in the clouds. An unexpected call. A new idea. Confirmation. Manifestation. Arrival. Not because you earned it, but because you became it. You see, this world is not solid, it's malleable, it's responsive, it's obedient, not to your effort but to your frequency, and gratitude is the highest frequency of fulfillment. It is the resonance of divine satisfaction. It says it is done, it whispers I am that. It declares I am no longer searching, I am now receiving. So I ask you, what would you be thankful for if you knew the outcome was guaranteed? What would you feel right now if you had the thing you're waiting for? Would you breathe differently? Would you relax your shoulders? Would you smile more? Then do it now. Enter the state. Live in the end. Let your gratitude become your dwelling place, because your state of consciousness is your spiritual address. It is where the universe delivers its packages. And if you keep changing your address, from fear to hope to doubt to belief, you will delay what is already yours. So choose now, not the words, not the vision board, but the state. Become the version of yourself who already has it, and dwell there quietly, gratefully, steadily, even when the world shows no evidence, even when nothing makes sense. Because this is how you prove your faith not to God but to yourself, and when you remain in that grateful state long enough, you'll see the impossible bend, you'll feel the invisible become visible, you'll watch reality bow to your inner knowing. That is the law, that is the secret, and that is your power. So now, pause, close your eyes, and thank you for what is, but for what already is in you, because the moment you feel it, you have it. And from that place, everything you desire must find you. You're not waiting, you're not hoping, you're already receiving. Welcome to the grateful state. Chapter 2. Thanking Before You See. There is a sacred act more powerful than any spoken prayer, more magnetic than the clearest vision, more aligned than the most determined will. It is the act of thanking before you see. Not as a performance, not as a technique, but as a knowing and as a state of inner reality more vivid than the world that surrounds you, because true creation doesn't begin with the outer, it begins in the invisible. And gratitude is the vibration that proves, not to the world but to your soul, that's what you've asked for and already exists. You are not here to react to circumstances. You are here to author them, and the tool of authorship is feeling, not the fleeting emotion that rises and falls with the tides of life, but the embodied conviction that it is done, even when your eyes tell you it's not. Gratitude is not something you wait to feel. It is the cause of what you once thought was the effect. It is the signal, the invisible declaration to the quantum field, to the divine intelligence, to the formless realm. That says, I remember who I am. I remember what is mine. I remember what has already been given. You are not begging the universe for scraps. You are aligning with what already belongs to you in the realm of consciousness. And gratitude is the evidence that you've accepted it, before your hand holds it, before your senses confirm it, before the world reflects it. Gratitude is how you speak the language of the unseen. It is how the soul whispers to the infinite, I have already received, because I have already believed. Let this truth burn into you. If you wait for reality to give you a reason to be thankful, you have handed your power to the world. You have become a servant to conditions, rather than being a creator of them. But when you thank first, when you drop into the frequency of fulfillment before the thing arrives, you step into dominion. You declare, without words, I don't need to see it to know it's real. I don't need proof. My gratitude is my proof. This is not an illusion. It is mastery, because the world does not give you what you want. It gives you what you believe you already have. And the moment you enter the state of thankfulness, you cease wanting. You cease chasing. You cease waiting. You become the thing. You embody the outcome. You collapse the gap between you and it. Now listen closely, because this is where most fall short. They try to fake it. They say, I am grateful, while their body screams, I don't have it. They perform a ritual of thanks, but inside they ache with lack. This is not alignment. This is resistance in disguise. True gratitude is not a mask. It is a transformation of identity. When you really thank before you see, you no longer need to see. You feel so whole, so connected, so full, that the outer manifestation becomes almost irrelevant. And that's when it comes, because you're no longer asking from emptiness. You're receiving from fullness. Gratitude is not a plea. It is a signal, a frequency, a stamp on your energy field that says, this is who I am now, and the world must reflect that back. You may not know how, you may not control when, but when you thank before you see, you've set a law in motion that cannot fail. You've planted the seed, you've watered it with conviction, and now you let go. Not in doubt, but in certainty. This is why gratitude is not soft. It is not passive. It is the most aggressive act of creation there is. It says, I am no longer waiting, I already have, and because I already have, I give thanks. So now ask yourself, what are you waiting to see, Des? What could you be thankful for now? What desire are you keeping at arm's length? By refusing to feel the joy of its fulfillment, what would happen right now? If you closed your eyes, breathed into your chest, and thanked the universe, as if everything you've ever wanted, was it already yours? Not for a second, but until it melted into your being, until the edges between you and it disappeared, until there was no difference between desiring and possessing, only presence, because the moment you enter that feeling, the reality is born, not in the world, in you, and once it is born in you, the world has no choice but to obey. You are the cause, you are the origin, you are the channel, and gratitude is the frequency that opens the floodgates. So let go of the waiting, let go of the hoping, let go of the wishing, and thank. Thank from the end. Thank as if the outcome is behind you. Thank as if you are living in the echo of fulfillment. Because you are. If you can feel it, you have it. If you can thank for it, it is already yours. This is not faith. This is a fact, in the language of the unseen, and the unseen is always listening. Chapter 3. Gratitude as a bridge between the seen and unseen. There are two worlds, one that you touch and one that touches you without form, one that you can measure and one that you can only feel, one that changes every time you blink and one that remains eternally still. The first is the seen, the world of matter, condition, and consequence. The second is the unseen, the world of vibration, potential, and divine imagination. Between these two, there is a bridge, and that bridge is gratitude. Not the gratitude that comes after a gift has been received, but the gratitude that precedes the gift and calls it into visibility. Because you were never meant to live only in the seen. You are not a machine reacting to conditions. You are a soul projecting them. You came here to remember that reality does not begin with sight. It begins in the invisible and flows from the formless into the formed. You are not here to wait. You are here to realize. And gratitude is the path across the veil. It is the movement between I wish and I am. It is the sacred thread that ties imagination to incarnation. The unseen is always creating, but it creates according to your inner signal, your emotional broadcast. And when that signal is one of thanks, the message is clear. I already dwell in the reality I once longed for. The moment you feel genuine gratitude, you leave the frequency of lack. You leave the timeline of delay. You cross into the world where the desire is no longer becoming. It has become. Gratitude does not beg. It does not plead. It does not question. It knows. It receives. It confirms. It says to the unseen, I recognize what cannot be seen, and I claim it now. And the unseen always responds to recognition. Let this settle into you. The world of form is a mirror, not a maker. It does not create your state. It reflects it. To wait for the other to give you permission to feel blessed is to stand before a mirror, frowning, and expect your reflection to smile first. It will never happen. But shift your inner gaze, just slightly, just honestly, and the reflection shifts with you. That shift is gratitude, that moment when you stop asking and start acknowledging, that moment when you move from when will it happen to it already has. You don't need evidence. You don't need proof. You only need presence. The bridge between the seen and unseen is not made of action. It is made of alignment. And gratitude is the frequency of alignment. It says to the field, to the divine, to the depths of your own soul, I remember what is true. I accept it now. I live from it today. And when you live from it, the outer world reshapes itself, quietly, precisely, inevitably, to match the new inner code. You don't need to strain. You don't need to force. You only need to become. Gratitude allows you to become the outcome before it arrives. It closes the gap between where you are and where you thought you needed to go, because there is no distance between you and your good, except the story that you are waiting for it, and gratitude erases that story. It replaces it with a new one. I am already inside the thing I used to chase. The body may still be walking through time, but the soul has arrived. And because the soul has arrived, the world will soon follow. This is not faith in theory, this is faith made tangible, through feeling, because the unseen does not speak English, or Spanish, or words. It speaks vibration, it speaks tone, it speaks of feeling. Gratitude is its native tongue. So when you speak in thanks, not from politeness but from power, you become fluent in the language of creation, and when you speak that language long enough, consistently enough, authentically enough, you will begin to see miracles, not because they weren't already there, but because you finally crossed the bridge into the world where they live. The unseen is not far. It is not hidden. It is not complicated. It is simply quiet. And gratitude is the door that opens when you finally stop shouting, when you release the demand, when you let go of the how, when you feel the joy before the reason. The veil lifts. The answer appears. The timing aligns, because the bridge has been crossed. So today, don't look for what is. Feel what already exists beyond the veil. Thanks for what is not yet visible. And watch how quickly it becomes undeniable. You are not here to wait. You are here to receive, and to receive, you must tune yourself to the unseen. Gratitude is the tuning fork. Strike it in the silence of your soul, and all of reality will begin to hum in harmony with your new state. You are not imagining. You are remembering. You are not begging. You are broadcasting. You are not hoping. You are commanding through the quietest language of all. Thanks. Chapter 4. The law responds to the thankful. There is a law, invisible, impartial, absolute. It does not judge. It does not delay. It does not ask who you are, where you've been, or whether you feel worthy. It only answers one thing, your state. And when that state is thankfulness, the law moves. Not slowly, not someday, but instantly, though the echo may take time to reach your eyes. This is the divine algorithm that governs all creation. You do not receive because you deserve. You receive because you have assumed. You have embodied the frequency. You have tuned yourself to the outcome. You have entered the vibration of, "It is already mine." And gratitude is the proof of that assumption. It is the signal that says to the field, "The transaction has occurred in spirit. Now let it reflect in form." This is not superstition. It is not emotional fluff. It is the law, as exact as gravity, as mathematical as light, as unfailing as time. The law of creation does not bow to your logic. It does not wait for conditions. It waits only for the moment you become the version of yourself, who no longer needs, but has. And how do you know when you've become that version? You feel grateful. Without cause, without proof, without needing anything to change, you walk through the same room, with a different inner atmosphere. You touch the same objects, but with a new electricity in your fingertips. You breathe the same air, yet you inhale peace where there used to be urgency. That is the shift. That is the crossing. That is the moment the law responds. Because it does not speak to your outer actions, it listens to the frequency underneath your skin, and the frequency of gratitude is the frequency of completion. So long as you desire with desperation, you vibrate lack. So long as you ask from emptiness, you affirm that you are still without. But when you thank from fullness, you close the gap between you and the thing you seek. You end the question. You end the search. You enter the state of already having, and the law has no choice but to mirror it. It must. It was designed to. You are not convincing anything to come to you. You are simply revealing that it was already there, waiting for your frequency to match what was always yours. Gratitude does not move the law. Gratitude activates the law. It turns potential into form. It turns delay into delivery. It turns dreams into data. You must understand this. The law is not personal. It is precise. You are not punished by it. You are not tested by it. You are shaped by it, moment by moment, feeling by feeling. And gratitude is the master shape. It forms the mold into which your life must pour. It says to the cosmos, "I am ready, not because I waited long enough, but because I became the one who no longer waits." There is a great secret here, and it lives in one sentence. Thank you is a command, not a reaction. Every time you whisper it, not out of habit but out of truth, you are rewriting the code of your reality. You are no longer seeking, you are anchoring. You are calling what is unseen to emerge, not by effort, but by resonance. When a person gives thanks with no evidence, the law begins to bend the visible world around them, not because they earned it, but because they entered it. You must remember this. The law cannot be tricked. You cannot fake gratitude and expect a real result. But when your thanks ring true, when they rise not from the throat, but from the soul, reality rearranges, paths clear, obstacles dissolve, ideas ignite, people appear. The improbable becomes natural, and the impossible inevitable. Because the law does not need time, it needs permission, and gratitude is that permission, spoken in the only language the law obeys, frequency. So let your life become a living thank you. Let your breath carry it. Let your posture reflect it. Let your silence hum with it. Don't say it to be polite. Say it because you remember. You are not waiting for blessings. You are walking through them. Your eyes may not yet see, but your spirit already knows, and the law responds to what the spirit knows, so thank before it comes. Thank before it's proven. Thank before you understand how, and then watch what unfolds, because the law is not moved by the clever. It is moved by the grateful, and the one who gives thanks for what they have not yet seen shall soon see what they no longer need to seek. Chapter 5. When gratitude becomes identity. There is a moment on the journey when everything changes, a turning point where gratitude no longer feels like something you do, but something you are. It stops being a practice and becomes your posture. It stops being a response and becomes your identity. You wake up not asking what you must do to attract your desires, but feeling, without trying, as if they already live inside your skin. This is the moment when thankfulness becomes embodiment, not a ritual repeated in the morning, not a list written in a journal, but a frequency that lives in your bones, effortless, permanent, alive. Gratitude, when fully realized, is not a thought. It is not even a feeling. It is a state of being. It is the vibration of someone who no longer waits, someone who no longer needs proof, someone who has crossed the threshold between desire and fulfillment, and has decided to dwell there, regardless of appearances. In this state, you do not thank because you're trying to attract. You thank because you've already become. You don't reach for the vision, you are the vision. You don't speak to the future. You walk inside it. And the world becomes a mirror too slow to keep up. It reflects you, eventually. But by the time it does, you're already onto the next level of gratitude, the next vibration of receiving. Because once gratitude becomes identity, you no longer chase reality. Reality chases you. Now listen closely, because here is the doorway that few ever walk through. Most people dabble in thankfulness like a tool. They try it. They test it. They say it when life goes well, but deep down they still identify as the one who lacks, the one who waits, the one who wishes, and so their gratitude never creates. It only echoes their doubt. But when you cross the line, when you step fully into the self who already is, your gratitude shifts from decoration to power. You no longer use gratitude. You become grateful. You smile without reason. You rest without proof. You thank without hesitation, because you are no longer thankful for what's coming. You are thankful for what has already been claimed. It's not hope. It's not performance. It's presence. There is a great secret hidden here. You cannot sustain a reality that contradicts your self-image, and so long as you see yourself as someone without, the universe will keep you in alignment with that perception. But the moment you become the version of you, who already lives in the having, in the knowing, in the overflow, the law shifts, the currents reorient, the reflection changes, because you've changed at the level that matters most, identity. So ask yourself now, in stillness, who are you? Really, are you the seeker, the one waiting for the call, the door, the miracle? Or have you remembered that? Are you already walking through the very reality you once imagined? Have you allowed yourself to become the one who no longer seeks confirmation because they carry conviction? Have you let your gratitude rewire the image you hold of yourself until every cell begins to agree with the reality you once only dreamed of? That's the work. Not to control the outcome, but to become the person for whom the outcome is inevitable. And when you do, when you let gratitude sink so deep that it shifts the rhythm of your breath, the shape of your thoughts, the way you enter a room, reality responds, not because you asked again, but because you became again. Because now you're not sending out a signal. You are the signal. You are not remembering to say thank you. You are walking as the embodiment of thanks itself, and that kind of frequency cannot be ignored. It bends outcomes. It opens timelines. It accelerates manifestations. Because gratitude is no longer a message to the field. It is the proof that you and the field are one. So from this day forward, stop waiting for things to give you a reason to feel grateful. Start living as the one for whom gratitude is the default. Start speaking, walking, thinking, and moving, as if you were already on the other side of the prayer. Because you are, you only ever had to become the version of you who knew that. This is not pretending. It is remembering. You are not becoming worthy. You are remembering that you already were. You are not working your way into alignment. You are stepping back into what your soul never forgot. That is the most powerful version of you. Is not the one who wants more. It's the one who knows it's already done, and that knowing, it lives in gratitude, not practiced, not forced, but embodied. This is the shift, not the outer world becoming better, but you are becoming the version of yourself who no longer needs it to be, because everything you thought you were chasing was waiting on one thing, your frequency, and your frequency changes. The moment you let thankfulness become who you are, now, let it become. Chapter 6. Gratitude in the Midst of Delay. There comes a moment on every path of conscious creation where the sky stays silent. You've done the inner work. You've tuned your frequency. You've walked into the feeling of the end. You've given thanks again and again. And yet, nothing. No message, no shift, no sign, just stillness. This is where most turn back. This is where impatience whispers, it's not working. This is where the old identity, the one built on doubt and disappointment, tries to rise again. It tells you, see, you were foolish to believe. Gratitude doesn't change anything. Reality is fixed. But this chapter, this silence, it is not punishment, it is initiation. The delay is not a denial. It is a mirror, asking you one simple question. Can you remain thankful even when nothing appears to be happening? Because if you can, you are no longer practicing gratitude. You are living it. And when gratitude becomes your state without evidence, you have become untouchable by circumstance. You are no longer a reactor. You are a creator, still, sovereign, steady. This is where the old self dies, and the true self takes root, not in the manifestation, but in the mastery, because the one who gives thanks in the silence has already won. You may not feel it, you may not see it, but the moment you decide to remain grateful anyway, you declare to the entire universe, my faith is not dependent on outcomes, my gratitude is not borrowed from appearances. I walk in fulfillment, even in the waiting, and that frequency, that level of calm knowing, that refusal to break under delay, it bends the fabric of time itself, it shortens cycles, it collapses probability, it calls in what was once far away and places it at your feet, not because you chased harder, but because you remained still in the storm. Still and thankful. Here's what most don't understand. The field doesn't respond to what you do when you feel certain. It responds to who you are when you feel nothing, when the outer is quiet, when the days stretch long, when the prayer has echoed but no reply has come. This is the sacred space of power, not because it feels good, but because it reveals who you really are. Gratitude in the delay is the ultimate act of spiritual authority. It says, you may not show up yet, but I still know you're on the way. The vision may still be hidden, but I am already living inside it. Nothing may have changed out there, but everything has changed in here. You don't beg, you don't bargain, you don't backpedal, you stand, you breathe, you give thanks, as if the blessing is already surrounding you. Because in truth, it is. Delay is not a void. It is a sacred gestation. It is the time between seed and sprout, between inner conception and outer reflection, between assumption and arrival, and the only thing that determines how long it lasts is your ability to remain in the feeling, without needing the form. You are not being ignored. You are being deepened. You are being tuned. You are being shaped to hold what you asked for. And if you rush the process, you forfeit the harvest. So instead, bless the delay. Honor the space between. Smile at the silence. because it is not empty, it is full, preparing to overflow. And your job is not to hurry the unseen. Your job is to remain a vibrational match to the thing you already claimed. You do this with gratitude. Steady, simple, certain. Gratitude becomes your anchor when the winds of doubt rise. It becomes your fire when the world goes cold. It becomes your proof when nothing else shows up to confirm what you know inside. Say this to yourself in the stillness. I do not retreat. I do not diminish. I do not question the promise. I thank because it is done even if I haven't yet touched it. And if you can hold that, if you can breathe that, if you can live in that, you will not only receive, you will become someone who cannot be shaken. You will walk this world differently, not as someone trying to manifest, but as someone who remembers, everything I desire is already mine. And that memory, it awakens only in the stillness, only in waiting, only in the pause between the inhale and the exhale of destiny. So wait well, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with gratitude. Gratitude is how you wait without waiting. It is how you prepare while appearing still. It is how you align when all else tells you to give up, and when the timing is right, when the moment is full, when the world can no longer hold back what's already yours. It will come, without force, without struggle, without delay, because your gratitude proved that it was already here. Chapter 7. The infinite answers the grateful. There is no silence in the universe. There is no void that does not hum with memory, with meaning, with answer. Everything you ask for, every thought, every breath, every secret longing, is already echoed in the infinite. Not because you are special, but because you are one with it. The infinite doesn't hear you with ears. It recognizes you by vibration. And the one frequency that pierces through dimensions, that moves without resistance, that cannot be denied, is gratitude, not the fleeting, conditional kind, but the still, radiant gratitude that flows without needing a reason. That kind of gratitude is not just a signal, it is a summons. It is the soul's way of saying, I remember who I am, I remember what I carry, I remember what belongs to me by divine design. And the moment that memory rises in you, the infinite responds, because it never stopped listening. It was only waiting there for you to speak in its native tongue. Gratitude is that tongue. It is the speech of the heart unburdened. It is the music of the soul before it was named. It is the divine password that unlocks what your words cannot reach. You see, most speak to the universe in fear. They pray from lack. They affirm with doubt in their bones. They visualize while still holding the identity of the unworthy. But the one who gives thanks, not because they see, but because they know, becomes a living invitation to the infinite. You become the door through which the invisible walks into the visible, and the infinite rushes in, not because it was far away, but because you finally stood still long enough, open enough, empty enough, to let it in. The grateful do not beg. They do not chase. They do not wrestle with fate. They remember. They remember that the source is not out there, but inside. That the answer is not waiting in the stars, but vibrating within the now. That the divine never denies, but waits for you to become aligned. And alignment is not achieved through control. It is received through resonance and gratitude. It is the purest resonance of all. It is the feeling of one who has already touched the end of the story and come back to the beginning with peace. It is the awareness that everything you could ever want already exists in some unseen dimension, and your only task is to remember the path back to it. That path is not action. It is not an effort. It is not perfect. It is presence. It is joy. It is thankfulness. Because thankfulness is not a tool of attraction. It is evidence of possession. When you thank, you do not say, I hope it comes. You say, it is already mine. And when you speak that, from a place of realness, from the marrow of your being, from the part of you that was never afraid, the infinite answers, Not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. Always in the way that most perfectly reflects your frequency, because the universe is not random, it is not cruel, it is not blind, it is exquisitely exact, it is impossibly generous, it is wildly responsive, and it is waiting, right now, for your vibration to whisper one truth. I remember that I already have what I asked for. And when you live from that remembrance, you stop grasping, you stop pleading, you stop exhausting yourself trying to manipulate time and form. You relax into the knowing, you let go into the fulfillment, you rest in the current of divine orchestration. And suddenly, you begin to see things move. The phone rings, the idea comes, the door opens, the pain fades, the path clears, the thing you thought was lost arrives whole and shining, not because you earned it, but because you finally matched it. And the match was made not through noise, but through a quiet, unwavering gratitude. That said to all of existence, I am no longer seeking, I am found. This is the gift. Not that gratitude gives you something, but that it returns you to the place where you realize nothing was ever missing. Not the love, not the abundance, not the purpose, not the clarity, not the healing. It was all there, hidden not in some other place, but in some other frequency. And the moment you found that frequency, the frequency of thanks, you found your way back to everything. So now walk forward in silence, not because you are unsure, but because you are certain, not because you wait, but because you already have. Let your every breath be a prayer of thanks. Let your every step say, I am ready, I am aligned, I am whole. Let your life sing, even when nothing is playing. Because of that vibration, the infinite will answer, and it will not whisper. It will roar. Epilogue. You were always the answer. So now, you return to your life, to your morning rituals, your quiet evenings, your thoughts between thoughts. But something has shifted. You feel it, not as noise, but as presence, not as fireworks, but as a deeper silence that glows from within. It is not that the world has changed, it is that you are no longer waiting for it to. You no longer walk as one who pleads with destiny. You walk as one who carries it. For now, you know, gratitude is not something you reach for when things go well. It is the very power that makes all things align. It is the portal. It is the language. It is the tuning of your soul to the vibration of the infinite. And every time you thank, with no reason, with no proof, with no need, you are proving that you've already received. You are becoming the evidence of your own faith. And that kind of presence, that kind of knowing, cannot go unanswered. The infinite always responds, to the one who no longer searches but remembers. So now, return to the mirror. Return to the silence. Return to the small moments where doubt tries to return. And in that moment, do the only thing that ever changes everything. Say thank you, say it as the command it truly is. Say it as a state, a song, a signal. Say it because you are no longer begging for proof. You are becoming it. Let your life be the proof. Let your presence be the confirmation. Let your gratitude open every invisible door that's been waiting on your frequency. And if this journey spoke to something in you, if it reminded you of a power you've always carried, but maybe forgot, then pause here for a moment, take a breath. And if you feel called to keep walking this path with us, with truth, with beauty, with remembrance, please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, not out of habit, but as a signal, a quiet thank you of your own, a confirmation that something real moved within you. This journey doesn't end here. It begins here, with a new state, a new tone, a new identity, one that no longer says, I hope life gives me what I desire, but I live in the frequency of what I've already received. And that changes everything. Thank you for listening, and more importantly, thank you for remembering.